At 82, I've learned a lot about life, but there's one decision I deeply regret: moving into a nursing home. When it seemed like the right move, I trusted my family. They said I'd get all the care and comfort I needed. I believed them. But after I moved in, I quickly saw how different it really was. Maybe you're thinking about this too, whether it's for yourself or someone you love. You might feel it's the safest choice, or you've been told it will bring peace. But before you take that path, I want to share 6 things I really wish someone had warned me about before I moved in. Because the truth is, living in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It changes your entire life. And once you're in, walking back out isn't easy. Stick with me to the end, because some of these lessons are surprising. If someone you know is facing this choice, they need to hear this before making a decision. Let's begin. Regret 1, losing my independence. The biggest shock wasn't the small room, the fixed meal schedule, or even unfamiliar faces. It was realizing I lost control of my life. At home, I set my own routine. Wake-up times, meals, daily walks, cooking, or reading in my favorite chair. All of that disappeared. At the nursing home, everything ran on their schedule. Breakfast came whether I was hungry or not. Lights out happened whether I was sleepy or not. Want to take a walk outside? You might need permission or wait for staff to help. Decisions like when to eat or what to wear became privileges instead of basic rights. I remember waking up in that unfamiliar bed, stretching, reaching for my book, and then looking around, realizing none of my belongings were here. Just blank walls and a bed I didn't choose. And I thought, I'm no longer in control of my own life. The hardest lesson: once you surrender your autonomy, it's nearly impossible to reclaim it. You learn to conform. You stop arguing about meals. You stop asking to take a walk whenever you want. And in the process, you start losing you. Before you choose a nursing home, ask yourself, can you live without the small freedoms that define your life? Once they're gone, you'll miss them more than you ever expected. Regret 2, feeling forgotten. One painful truth: life outside doesn't stop when you move in. At first, my daughter visited weekly. My grandchildren came on weekends. At first, I felt connected. But over time, visits dwindled. Calls replaced in-person visits. School, work, holidays, they all meant fewer visits. And suddenly, I found myself in the common room, watching other residents gaze at the door, hoping someone would show up. No one forgot me out of malice. Life just got busy. When you're not around daily, people assume you're okay. But here's the hard truth. The longer you stay there, the easier it is for people to forget how much you still need them. One night, I held my phone, tempted to call my son. I didn't want to be that person. I put it down and instantly realized this was my new life, waiting to be remembered. If you're considering a nursing home, ask yourself, can you handle the loneliness? Because even with the best intentions, out of sight often becomes out of mind. Regret 3, losing my sense of purpose. When I packed up my things and moved into the nursing home, I thought I was just changing my address. I didn't realize I was also letting go of my reason to get up in the morning. At home, I had purpose. I had routines, hobbies, and little things that made me feel useful. Watering plants, making coffee, straightening up the living room. But once I got settled into the home, those little habits disappeared. Meals were made for me. The cleaning was someone else's job. The plants? Not mine to care for anymore. At first, I told myself this would be a good rest. No chores, no responsibilities. Just peace. But after a few weeks, something started to feel off. The days felt long, like I was just waiting for clock to move. I noticed it in others, too. Folks who once had hobbies and stories now sat quietly, staring at nothing in particular. There was a man named George, 84, used to be a skilled carpenter. At home, he was always building something. But in the home, there were no projects to work on, no tools to pick up. I watched him slowly fade. His hands, once strong and steady, now sat motionless in his lap. I feel like I don't matter anymore, he once told me. I knew the feeling. When you stop having things to care about or take care of, your sense of identity starts slipping away. Your mind slows, your body follows, and soon you're just another person filling a chair in a hallway. If you're weighing this decision, ask yourself, what brings meaning to your life? Because once you're in, it's hard to find purpose again unless you fight to keep it alive. Regret 4, declining health faster than expected. Before I entered the nursing home, I was doing pretty well. I wasn't sprinting marathons, but I took care of myself. Cooked meals, went on walks, kept moving with my small routines. Grocery shopping, morning stretches, pacing the halls of my house. But after the move, things changed fast. At first, I thought I was just taking a well-earned break. No more cooking or chores, just rest. I had a call button if I needed anything. It seemed easy, but what I didn't expect was how quickly I'd start losing strength. I wasn't walking as much. My legs got stiff. I sat more and moved less. Getting up from a chair started feeling like lifting bricks. The muscles I had worked hard to maintain just melted away. And I wasn't alone. I saw others coming on their own 2 feet, and within months, they were using walkers or wheelchairs. Independence faded faster than any of us thought it would. The more help we got, the more help we needed. Alice, my neighbor, came in full of life at 81. She walked every morning and said she'd never slow down. But months later, her walks got shorter. Then came the walker, then the chair. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, "I don't know when it happened, but I feel like I aged a decade in just a few months." That's exactly how it felt. When you stop using your body stops working. And in a nursing home, where things are built to make life easier, you stop challenging yourself to move. If I had known how quickly strength fades, I would have made movement a priority. I would have pushed myself more, even on the days I didn't feel like it. If you're thinking about this path, ask yourself, will you keep moving when everything around you is set up to make you stop? Because once you slow down, getting your strength back is harder than you think. Regret 5, the loss of privacy and dignity. One thing I didn't fully realize before entering a nursing home was just how much personal space and dignity I'd have to give up. Back in my own house, I had true privacy. I could shut my bedroom door, enjoy quiet moments, and live by my own rules. But once I entered the nursing home, that freedom faded fast. Right from the start, I felt constantly monitored. Staff walked in and out regularly, did scheduled room checks, and there were shared spaces where you were rarely ever truly alone. Even the basics, like getting dressed or using the restroom, often required help. I understand the staff were just doing their job, but needing assistance for tasks I'd handled all my life was tough to swallow. That first week stands out in my memory. I had to get used to asking permission for things that once came naturally. Want a shower? You might need to wait until someone is free to assist you. Need the bathroom? Press the call button, and then wait, sometimes longer than you'd like. Even meal options weren't really choices. If you didn't like what was being served that day, too bad. Then there's the roommate situation. Not everyone gets a private room, and having to live in close quarters with someone you didn't choose, that can be a real challenge. I was fortunate. My roommate was kind, but I knew others who weren't as lucky. Some dealt with loud roommates, or ones who were messy, or had memory issues that kept them up at night. And no matter how many family photos or personal blankets you bring in, it never truly feels like your space. Dignity is something you don't notice until it's missing. I didn't expect to feel like I had to earn the right to basic choices until I was already there. When people enter your room without knocking, when you're spoken to like a task instead of a person, when your day is planned around someone else's clock, not your own, it wears you down. Slowly, you start feeling more like a patient than a person. So before you consider a nursing home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and respect you've had your whole life? Because once it's gone, getting it back isn't easy. Regret 6, realizing it's harder to leave than you think. When I first moved in, I thought of the nursing home as a short-term thing. I figured I'd try it out for a bit. If I didn't like it, I could always go back home. What I didn't understand was how hard it would be to leave once I'd settled in. I assumed going back would be simple. But over time, my home changed, literally and emotionally. My house sat empty. Keeping it maintained from a distance got tricky. My kids had already started making changes, getting rid of things they thought I didn't need, even talking about renting the place out. When I mentioned moving back, I was met with hesitation. Can you really manage on your own? Wouldn't you be safer staying here? We just want what's best for you. They meant well, but it made things harder. And then there was my own health. After months of not needing to cook or clean, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. The independence I once had quietly slipped away. I wasn't sure I could go back to living alone. That fear kept me frozen. Others around me went through the same thing. They thought the nursing home would be temporary. But leaving turned out to be far more complicated than expected. The longer you stay, the harder it is to return to your old life. For some, it's not even an option anymore. Homes are sold, money runs low, and suddenly, there's nowhere else to go. That's what no one warns you about. It feels like a decision you can undo, but most of the time, you can't. The nursing home slowly becomes your whole world. Before you know it, the life you had before feels like a distant dream. So if you're thinking about this move, ask yourself, are you prepared for reality that once you enter, leaving might be more difficult than you ever imagined? Because once you settle in, financial, physical, and emotional barriers make the road back much steeper than it seems. If you're still with us and this message has resonated with you, comment number 6 below. And don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss these important discussions. I've made peace with growing older, but I do wish I hadn't believed the nursing home was my only choice. I thought it would be safe, comfortable, and offer a better way to live. Instead, I found it slowly took pieces of me away, my independence, my privacy, my sense of purpose, even who I believed I was. Now, don't get me wrong. Some people truly need the level of care a nursing home gives. But before you make that call, pause and think deeply about what you're giving up. Because once you go down that road, things won't ever feel quite the same. If I had a second chance, I would push harder to remain in my own home, look into more support options that let me stay independent, make absolutely sure I needed full-time care before making a move that's often permanent. If you're facing this decision now, take time to reflect. Is this truly what's best for you, or just what feels easier today? Because the daily life you enjoy now, your freedom, your routines, your choices, is worth holding on to for as long as you possibly can. Thank you for spending your time with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share what stood out most to you today and how you plan to use it in your own life. Your voice matters, and your support means everything. If this video helped you or made you think, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need it. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.